Hey, welcome to Old Ass Movie Reviews. This is the last installment of November with Kurt Russell and The Thing. We are also going to be reviewing and talking about the original 1951 Thing and a little bit about the prequel from 2011. So, which one did you watch first?
I watched the first one first of Howard Hawks from
Howard
the
Hawks.
50s.
Interesting movie.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, but I had some issues with it because it was seemed I should have watched it first. And the reason I say that is John Carpenter's thing is so freaking intense
Mm-hmm.
that this is a whole different. This is slower. This is more dialogue.
Yeah.
I get they didn't have the effects budget. This had a lot of dialogue, man. There was a lot of talking. At points, I wondered if this movie knew what it was wanting to be.
Which one, Howard Hawks or
Howard Hawks.
John Carpenter's?
Howard Hawks.
Howard Hawks, okay.
Yeah, because you had the pilot captain, and well, he's all excited to get up to Anchorage to go meet his girl.
Yeah, he wanted to see that girl again, boy.
Yeah, but they spent a lot of time bullshitting back and forth about all of that, and it seemed like there was such a buildup that just, damn it, I wanted more. I wanted more from the, what they call it, a super carrot.
Yeah, the guy calls it a super carrot. He's like, well, that super carrot's killing everybody. Well, it was an interesting take on the alien species, too.
Yes.
I started watching this movie a few months ago, and I never finished it. It was late. I turned it off and went to bed. But I remember getting the feeling that this thing was some type of prisoner. It wasn't necessarily an alien invasion. That's the impression that I got until the general or the doctor or whoever is talking about this thing says, oh, this could be an alien invasion. They could be doing this. They could be doing that. I never thought of it as an invasion. I always thought that it was a prisoner transfer ship because of the way that they described the asteroid coming in and then stopping and going in circles and up and down. Like there was a kerfuffle aboard that ship. And
that's a great use of that word.
Thank you. I've been saving it.
It's a kerfuffle.
It's a kerfuffle. But why else would that ship move like that?
That's true.
Unless this thing had escaped and killed everybody on board. And you never find out whether they killed everybody on board because the guys go down to the ship, but they never show them going into the ship.
Right.
And I found that kind of odd. And they did the same thing in the Kurt Russell movie.
Yes.
They go down to the ship, but they don't go into the ship.
I know. I would have thought for sure they would have went in. And it was much bigger in the Kurt Russell film.
Yeah, it was pretty big. Yeah. I was surprised how big they made it in the original. Because all those guys are standing out and they're like looking around going, it was as big, it had to be at least as big as a bomber. Like,
yeah, and what was neat about that, you talk about when they stood out in a circle. Right. If we go to John Carpenter's thing, they actually, when they're going through the old photos and video, you see the Norwegian crew standing in a circle.
Yeah.
And using thermite, just like, now that was great in the 1951. They blew the UFO up.
Let's break up the ice. Boom, and the one reporter's laughing at him.
Oh, I know.
The reporter's like, yeah, that's just like the government. Just blow it up.
Yeah, there's one thing from all three movies. Not a damn person is dressed for the Arctic.
No. Kurt Russell at one point comes out of the remake, John Carpenter's version, and he's basically in like a long sleeve underwear shirt with a t-shirt pulled over and boots on. And I'm like, even though you're not standing out there for long, you're going to get frostbite.
You're going to die.
Yeah, that could kill you. And he's drinking. He's drinking J&B.
It's Kurt Russell.
Good for him.
But it was the same way in all three. In the 1951 one where they show up. I mean, even the reporter just got regular slacks on. Hey, I'm at the North Pole.
Yeah. The funny thing is in the Kurt Russell one, when you're watching the film footage and the explosion, I think that's the same explosion from the Howard Hawks film.
It might be.
I think he brought that in, and I thought, well, if that was a great tip of the hat to the original. Plus, them all standing in the circle was a
Plus
great tip of the hat. Like, you know what I
the
mean?
yes, and the opening title card
Yeah,
of
yeah.
The Thing.
The
It
same
comes
the
up the
same
same
font and
way,
everything, right?
and they do it in
No, it
all three
doesn't.
movies.
It's the same font in Howard Hawks. It comes from the top
Ah,
down.
yeah.
In Carpenter's, it goes from the bottom up. And I thought, well, that's a nice little
I didn't even catch
thing,
that.
but it was pretty cool. I was like, oh, they kept everything the same. Because
Yeah,
made mention of that the other night. We were watching it, and I was like, that's the same font for the 82 version.
yeah,
82, 83?
somewhere in there, I think.
When they did Carpenter's? Yeah.
Yeah,
The only thing I think that Kurt Russell was missing was the eye patch.
I know. There were times I was like, "That's Snake. Snake ain't gonna play."
Snake would have killed all those guys just to save his ass, and then
Yeah,
blown everything up and got out of there.
he'd have been walking off across the Arctic wasteland, lighting a cigarette with a
Yeah,
jacket over his shoulder
exactly. In
in
his
his tank top.
sleeveless shirt.
Yeah, yeah, riding a fucking polar bear.
That's
That's the movie I want to see.
that's the Snake Plissken fights the alien invaders.
Yeah,
That's we should
we
write
didn't
that and
get
just see
that.
if
We
can
didn't get that.
get it
Um,
made. Snake Plissken versus the aliens.
Yeah, in Howard Hawks' movie, it was neat how they dealt with the alien was actually killing people to get their blood to
Yeah,
feed seeds to grow more.
right.
It was a neat concept.
It
It really
was
was.
yeah, and what's funny is you could see a couple of those scientists, like if that really happened, you could see some asshole scientists going, "Yeah, we're gonna grow some of these and see what happens. One of
Yeah,
these is enough to take over the planet.
yeah.
Why are you growing more?"
And
I'd have
this
shot
that
those motherfuckers if I was them.
that shit happens in all three movies. There's
Yep,
a damn doctor who does that same kind of shit, and it's like
yep,
I get it because they're gonna be that way, but
yep.
holy crap! Do y'all not read sci-fi? Do you not see
Right,
movies?
right. I did like the one guy who cited in the Howard Hawks film. The one scientist, the taller guy, he's kind of
Mhm.
burly. I think he was married to the one of the other doctors. And she, at one point, the captain is having an argument with the doctor who wants to save the aliens, and he's like, "Yeah, well, a couple of your friends are strung up upside down, and this thing drank its blood."
Yeah,
And I'm like, "Wow, that's pretty graphic description
yeah,
for the time." A, and then B, that other doctor steps in and goes, "Yeah, well, you didn't consult all of us, doctor." Or, I forgot what that guy's name. I want to call him Fives, but I know that's not right, doctor. And he says, "And we don't all agree with you saving these things. We need to kill it."
yeah,
And the guy's like, "Oh no, you can't kill it. It's all, it's a plant, and you know what? Yeah, well, it's a killer plant. It wants to
yeah,
eat us.
yeah,
You know."
yeah.
So
And that's one thing that I had to remember watching this movie that they did have to describe some things
right.
versus actually showing.
Hmm.
So that's why there was a lot more dialogue. Overall, I enjoyed the movie. It
Yeah, the
had more
dialogue
humor
was
than I was
really.
expecting.
I'm sorry, I stepped
No, what
over
was it?
you. I just stepped over you. What were you saying?
I said I was surprised at the amount of humor.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I have to go back to near the beginning with the general when the captain goes over and he knocks on the door. Come in, close
yeah.
the door. Come in, close the door.
Every time somebody opened the door, close the door. Well,
It's
what do
like,
you want me to do? Like freaking vibrate through the,
yeah.
I'm not
And
the Flash.
there was more references to close the door throughout the whole movie, so I think it was an inside joke.
Yeah, yeah. I liked the woman that the captain was having
Oh
the
yeah,
affair with.
they had great
She,
chemistry.
the delivery on those lines, that was some of the most natural dialogue I've ever heard in a sci-fi movie of that time period.
Oh, she was good. I
And
mean, it was
naturally delivered, not just hers, but everybody's. Like
yeah,
they'd start talking, and how I spoke over you,
yeah,
they would speak over each other a little bit. There was like overlapping dialogue, and I thought it felt very natural. Like
it did.
when his pilot and co-pilot and aviator are all making fun of him, the
Oh yeah, they were
captain.
ragging him
I
hard.
mean, they were ragging this guy, and you were like, yeah, I could see. I've known guys in the military that would get ragged on for stuff like that, and it was all very natural. Like
Yes.
they were really busting this guy's chops hard over knowing this woman, and Well, just admit that you like her, dude. You know, come
Yeah,
on, go get married, get him out of her hair. But her being her, I was really shocked, especially for the time, that she wasn't a damsel in distress.
good
She
point.
was very strong. She knew who she was. She knew that she liked this guy and she was going to play him. I mean, the actual talking about sex was definitely in this movie.
Oh yeah.
They used innuendo here and there, but basically you knew they were having sex and taking pictures. I mean, because she let that one picture of him out, and he's like, that got around to everybody,
Yeah.
She was probably at the Pentagon now. I think at one time he asked her, "Did you take other pictures, or do you still have all the other photographs, or something like that?" She's going, "Oh, yeah, I do," and he's like, "I'd like to see him sometime," and leaves.
Yeah.
Like he's busy, but I'm like, wow, that was, and she was a strong woman too, because at one point you'd think she was going to try and cover for the doctor that was
Oh
trying
no,
to
she
plant.
he turned
And
it
she's
right
like,
over.
"No, he's crazy. Here you go. Oops, hit me on the chin and take my notes. But this is what he's doing. I think you ought to know."
Right.
That was really telling. Like I think the trope would have been for her to have tried to back the doctor, and then you know they didn't play it how they normally would have played it back in the 50s. I didn't
That
think.
is true. So
And I
that
think it
was
was a good character,
surprising to
and good
see.
character choice
Yeah.
on her
Yeah.
part.
Not a bad movie.
No, not at all. I highly recommend that one for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if I go as far as say it's a must watch, but if you're at least the least bit curious, what?
Sacrilege.
Now,
James Arness is the thing. Come on.
um,
He's a big guy in that costume.
yeah, he looked a little bit like Frankenstein, which was a little weird.
Yeah, but you know what? When I first saw him, I looked at his feet. I was like, he's got to be on stilts or something.
Oh,
No, he was really that big.
really?
Yeah, dude, he did. Because I was looking at the shoes, I was like, he's got to have like some kind of platform, like they did for Boris Karloff.
Right.
There's no platform on those shoes. That was James Arness. That was his height and his width. That guy was big.
Yeah. And that one of the things about this movie, it definitely a lot of the scenes were on a stage, even the outside scenes.
Yeah.
The only reason I know that the clouds never moved, and I could see stitching on one of the back panels where a seam,
Right.
and it's like, okay, but it was well done, well shot. It had a scope of, hey, they're really out there.
How about whenever the thing shuts down the power and their heaters are all going off?
Yeah.
They had to have shot that, I'm guessing, in an ice rink or something. Someplace where they could make a big room cool and cold real quick.
I wonder.
Yeah, because the lady comes in and she's like, "Do you guys not see something?" And they're like, "What are you talking about?" She's like,
breath.
and you can see her breath. She's like, "See, you can see what's going on." They're all, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
So she was pretty smart. She figured out a lot of crap that nobody else figured out.
Yeah, it was entertaining. I just regret that it was at a time where we wouldn't get to see more.
Right.
I get that I don't have to have something super gory, but I would have liked to have seen a little bit more.
The guys hanging upside down?
Yeah, at least that.
I was surprised they described that.
Yeah.
I was really described, even that they even said that it happened to these guys.
Yeah.
Because you're like, ooh, that's pretty gruesome.
It was. So.
Wait, real quick. I liked that the captain, I can't remember his name.
I can't either.
The character or the actor, but he was a huge character actor. He was all the way through the 80s, probably well into the 90s. He was a character actor. But the captain didn't have all the answers. Like usually back then in The Hero, knew all the answers. He told everybody what to do. And I was like, my God, you're a genius, Captain. This captain looked at his guys and went, how are we going to kill this thing? I need ideas. We got axes. We got that. There's got to be another way to fry this thing. And the lady comes up with boiling. And they're like, what? She goes, yeah, you got to cook it. It's a vegetable.
It's a vegetable. I love that. Yeah, you can fry it.
You can boil it or you can fry it. And he looks over at his I guess, his radio guy. And his radio guy is like, we can run an electric wire and we can do this. And the captain's completely lost in what they're doing.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Go do it. Yeah, just do it.
That's that's a great observation because
Mhm.
usually, and we see it in the Kurt Russell movie
Right,
and also in the prequel, there is a hero who just happens to know everything. But here,
right.
it was the captain didn't have a freaking clue.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
Everybody
he
else
knew how
came
to be a
together to do it.
captain.
Yeah,
He knew, okay, my guys know what they're doing. Go do it. I'll take blame. He's getting orders not to kill the thing in the 1951 version in Howard
right.
Hawks' film. He's getting word from the general. Well, you got to take it alive. You got to
Yeah,
protect it.
right.
You got to do. And he's the one doctor's like, "Ha ha, you can't do anything." He goes, "Yeah, I'll take the court martial. You can laugh at me then."
Yep.
This thing's dying tonight.
Yep. Absolutely.
They did not
Absolutely.
screw around in that movie. They didn't wait
No,
for it to kill everybody.
no, and that's one of the things that differs from the other two is they actually finished this sucker off.
Oh yeah, they killed that mother. Boy,
Yeah,
quick and easy.
they
Well, not
fried that
easy, but
carrot.
it was, yeah. And I like the effect, the
Yeah,
lightning effect in the hallway. It's one of the most iconic images I've ever seen as a kid growing up, and I had never seen the movie all the way through.
right.
But then as an image, when I seen it, I knew what the movie was. I knew how the thing got killed. I didn't realize he got killed in that scene. I just knew that thing happened. But yeah, I say watch that movie if you like monster movies. Um, the monster effect is okay, but like you said, I think there should have been more. But with
Yeah,
the
given the
budget
time.
and the time, yeah,
Yeah,
they weren't going
it's
to show gore. They weren't going to show anybody's
no,
throat getting
no,
ripped
they
off.
weren't. That was coming.
That hand was pretty gruesome.
The hand was really cool when they had it just on the table and it's flopping
Yeah,
around and everything. It
and it
was,
starts moving, and the guys are like, this is vegetable matter."
yeah,
The one
yeah.
guy's like, "What? Vegetable matter?" And he just explains to him, "Yeah, this thing probably just what do they call it? Words
Sprouted.
words are not my friend today. They're never my friend. Why did you ever have brain farts? I'm constantly having
I
brain
do all the
farts.
time, all the time when they matter most.
Right?
No, it's a good. If you want to look at the history of the thing, and all
Mhm.
you'd ever seen was the '82 or '80, the John Carpenter one with Kurt
Yeah,
Russell,
yeah.
I do recommend watching this just to get a feel. Um, so before we move on, any final thoughts on 1951?
I just felt like that I needed to point out that I know when anybody watches these, we ruin every movie for them.
Yeah.
But I don't want to ruin Howard Hawks' movie because, like I said, it had been many years since I had seen it. I think everybody's pretty much seen Carpenter's version. If
Right.
they haven't, you've missed a good movie. But Howard Hawks, I think it is a must see. I'm not going to say how it all ends.
Yeah.
We basically tell you how it ends, but it's not the same John Carpenter ending.
No, it is
It's a
different.
good ending. And I
Yeah.
wish John Carpenter would have kept more of this ending. Now I understand why he didn't, but it would have been nice to see him keep
Well,
it.
when I was doing a little bit of research about these movies, John Carpenter actually kept closer to the book.
Oh, really? I didn't
Yeah.
know it was a book.
It was a book. I forget who wrote it.
Must have
Campbell,
written me
I
something.
think. So allegedly, John Carpenter kept closer to the book, and this one was a bigger departure.
Oh, okay. All right.
Um, it was entertaining. So
So
I do recommend watching it just to get a. I actually enjoyed sitting down and watching three Thing movies.
right?
Yeah, so I'm movied out for the weekend.
Yeah, I bet you are.
Yeah, but with with Carpenter's. And I want to talk real quick about the prequel just a bit. I was doing some reading on it, and when the producers wanted to do this movie,
Hmm.
they insisted that they did not do a remake of John Carpenter's film.
Right.
Their direct quote was, "It'd be like putting the mustache on a Mona Lisa."
Good for them.
Yeah, so
They
they
get
do
so
not.
well done.
Yes, here's a case where remakes. We usually shit all over remakes.
Mhm.
This is a good remake because it's very different. Um,
Right. Right.
Carpenter's film. The 2011 film takes place directly before Carpenter's film,
Okay.
and Carpenter's
So they're
film
more
shows.
Like
What's
we
that?
were talking, it's the Norwegians.
It is the Norwegians.
Okay.
And everything that they show in John Carpenter's film,
Mm,
like the thing with the two faces,
yeah.
you see it come to life and come to be in the 2011 film. You see,
What's that?
they show that exact same person frozen.
Nice.
They obviously rebuilt the set to look identical to when
I was
Kurt
wondering
Russell.
about that. I was
Yeah,
wondering after we had texted. I was wondering if that was the deal because
they
that's
did.
really great if they did that.
It is so much part of the universe, and it doesn't step on. I don't feel it steps on anything. It's got its
Good.
problems.
Right. Right.
It relied way too much on CGI and not practical effects. However, I thought it was a pretty strong entry into it, and
That's
I
good.
recommend it.
That's cool. Now I'm gonna have to. Now I'm gonna have to watch that
Now you're
thing.
gonna have to watch another thing,
I'm gonna
just
have to watch
because you
that.
get the backstory.
Gotta wait though. That's a
They
lot of
actually,
alien killing.
yeah, they actually go into the ship on this one.
Oh, do they?
Yes,
Somebody finally goes into the
they
ship.
go into the
Saying
ship.
out loud. Okay, good.
Yeah, near the end, but they go into the ship.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So it ends with the helicopter chasing the dog, which runs into the Americans' camp, which
Right.
starts
Right.
off John Carpenter's film,
Yeah.
which was a perfect way to just tie the two together
Right. Right.
and roll off into what I consider this film to be one of the greatest spectacles of practical effects still
The,
today.
the John Carpenter thing.
Yes.
Yeah, it was very well done, dude. Very well done.
Holy crap. When I was little, I got Fangoria magazine, and they had a big write up on this movie. And
Right.
they showed the scene where the guy's head, pulls off, and the little spider legs come off,
Yeah. Yeah.
and everybody's like looking like, "What the hell?" you know.
Yeah. That thing's crazy.
The effects are amazing in this,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, they
it
are.
holds up, man. It really
Like
freaking holds up.
like when the guy's head's like the big spider thing. It's
Yeah.
walking away, and the one guy turns around. He does one of these. You've got to be kidding me. And everybody just turns slowly, looks like, what the hell? This thing's still not dead.
No, no. Now,
Bliskin just comes out with the flamethrower. I mean, Kurt Russell.
yeah, I was waiting for Snake at any time.
Hold my beer. I'll be
Yeah,
right back.
this is a good movie.
Yeah, it is. It is a very,
I enjoy it. It's intense. Again, here we are. Nobody's dressed for the cold. You're at the South Pole.
Yeah.
Go figure.
It's like, and they're like, well, it's going to be 45 degrees below zero. It's like, oh, Wisconsin? There's some guy in Wisconsin going, yeah, and?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, it's not like you're in Wisconsin. You're at the Arctic. You're going to need to bundle up a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, a hell of a lot more than we do here, man, in the winter. That's for damn sure.
Exactly.
But, I honestly think had I been that doctor and I want to call him Ridcully, but that's not right. Kurt Russell's character, my mind went blank.
Kurt Russell's character?
Yeah, R.L. Ridley?
He was MacReady.
McCready.
I think.
I
think it is. Yeah. They just called him Mac.
He played Ripley's character in this one.
Interesting side note. In the prequel, they wanted to make the main character in the prequel is a female paleontologist, and they did not want to copy Kurt Russell, so they treated her as Ripley.
Oh, no
and
kidding!
She's very much a Ripley character.
Oh, nice.
She knows everything, and she's a badass with a flamethrower, and it's like, yep, there's Ellen Ripley.
There you go. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's good. I'll have to check that one out. But if I was McCready and the doctor, when I got back from the Norwegian camp, I'd have found that dog and fried it.
Yeah.
I would have been like, where's the dog? Oh, good little... Okay, everybody, blood test. Everybody in the room right now. I got a flamethrower on you, and I'm not afraid to use it.
The blood.
Get your ass over here.
The blood test is.
What's wrong with you guys?
Yeah. The blood test is one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Oh yeah, I remembered it vaguely, and I remembered everybody freaking out at one point, but I couldn't remember why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh shit.
When he hits that contaminated blood and it just forms and jumps, it's like, wow.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who was it? Windows? The one guy's name was Windows, I
The
think.
radio operator, yes.
Yeah, and he's like, they keep doing the camera on him, and you're like, oh, this is going to be good. What this is going to be great. And he's like, oh, thank goodness. It's like, he's almost relieved that it's not him.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're going to probably ruin this movie for anybody who hasn't seen it
We
yet.
ruin every movie, and that's part of our thing. That's why we look at old ones.
That's right.
If you don't want to be spoiled, just go watch the movie before you listen to us.
Yes, yes, by all means, watch the movies before you come over here.
Yeah, because we are going to spoil the shit out of them. Uh, guess what? Nobody makes it out of this one. Okay.
Yeah. Well, two kinda.
Yeah, I don't think they made it.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Somebody died.
Yeah, yeah.
One
We
of those guys died that night.
Yeah, I
one.
don't. I don't think any of them made it. And I doubt Kurt Russell cut open a Keith David and like a tauntaun. And
Right. On the inside. And I thought he smelled bad on the outside.
there it is. There's our Star Wars reference. So
Oh, the actual Star Wars reference was when they made the prequel, and it went right into the second one because they did.
there
that
you
with
go.
Rogue One ends where Star Wars begins.
Yes, yes. Yeah. This movie's
Star Wars all the time. Star Wars all the time. Um,
this is an intense flick. It's graphic.
Yeah.
The effects to me just blow my mind every time because I know that they had to spend hundreds and hundreds of hours creating these animatronics, all of this stuff to work the way it did,
Right.
and it looked great.
And man, if they screwed up a shot with the fire,
Oh
you
yeah,
had to reset the entire thing and do it all over.
Yeah.
I wonder how many times Carpenter just looked at everybody and was like, you got one shot. I am
Probably
not
a
spending
lot.
15 hours resetting this damn thing to reshoot tomorrow.
back then they were shooting on film, and
Yeah.
it was very costly.
Yeah, so I'm sure he had a bunch of camera angles, a bunch of different camels. Camels?
Camels?
They were
Yes,
doing-
there are camels in the South Pole.
Cam-
They're
Two-
polar camels.
They were polar camels. That was a dead giveaway that they were aliens, but nobody fell for it. I don't understand how you
Right. They had ice in their humps. Keeps them cool.
Cool. Keeps the water that they have nice and cold.
Yes.
Yeah, I honestly think when I came back, I would have killed that damn dog. I'd been like, hey, where's that dog at? Because really, by then, they figured out that something came from that camp. They figured
Yes.
out that the guys wanted to kill the dog, or at least that guy was chasing the dog into their camp.
Yes.
So me personally, I think I could have put two and two together and went, we're going to kill that dog as soon as we get back there. And then everybody's going to have a blood test, Doc, of some
Yeah.
sort. Something. There's got to be something we can do to figure out whether anybody got infected.
What surprised me in this one was I think it was Wilford Brimley's character,
Yeah.
who obviously was an alien, had been infected, was building a freaking spaceship underneath the shack that they had him. It's like, how did he do that so quick?
I forgot about that. I forgot that he was building a spaceship. I
Yeah,
was like, holy, well, at least a vehicle to get him off the South Pole.
true.
If not to go into space, but to at least get off the South Pole. So
Yeah, he was out of helicopter parts. Wouldn't it
Yeah.
have been easier just to fly the helicopter out?
Yeah, you could have stolen the helicopter before anybody even realized it. Destroyed the radio, turned off their power, and been in the helicopter and gone
Yeah.
before anybody realized what the hell happened. Alien was not the smartest alien.
No.
Book smart, yeah. Common sense, not so much.
And what's interesting is this particular movie versus the 1951. We see where the spaceship they track it in 1951 where it crashes. Here they allude to the fact that it's been there for 100,000 years,
Yeah.
which is really freaky.
Yeah, because then, well, you have to figure too. If let's say this thing was the thing aboard the spaceship and it was a lone pilot and it was la 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 flying around, and it just crashed whatever way. After 100,000 years, don't you think its species would have evolved into something maybe a little less violent, a little less wanting to kill everybody?
They may have, but
Everything in their path?
he obviously did. The alien obviously didn't wear a seatbelt because he was thrown from the. That's the one that gets me in both movies. Thrown
Right.
from the UFO.
See, that's why I think it was a prison ship.
It could have been.
I would think he was trying to escape and it was just too cold, or 100,000 years ago at the South Pole.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would have been cold.
I don't know. I don't know.
Let's find a rock scientist to find out for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a joke here about and you'll figure it out whenever you watch The Lost Skeleton of Cadaver.
Yeah, I'll have to do that soon.
It's Carpenter's version of The Thing. It starts out in a completely different way. It goes in almost a completely different direction, but it still had the same feel, the same claustrophobic almost.
Yeah.
Because you were on this compound, but everything is very tight, very, very secluded. Kurt Russell's character had his little shack out by the helicopter, which I don't know why his character was off from everybody else.
Because he's Snake Plissken.
Yeah, and he had a drinking problem. That's the guy you want piloting you.
Yeah.
The storm in the middle of the Arctic. Fighting aliens. Here, have another swig of whiskey, jackass. Just go breathe on it. There you go. It'll knock him out.
Exactly.
He had his big hat.
Yeah.
His big sombrero hat, which only Snake Plissken could wear and get away with.
Right.
We have that going for him. The dogs, I felt so bad for those dogs.
Yeah, I did too, because you knew when they took that dog back there with the others, and all the other dogs looked, it's like, oh shit.
Then why did it take that guy so long to get back there? The minute those dogs started barking like that, I mean, you just put a new dog in there. Maybe you should go check and make sure they're not fighting at least real quick.
Right.
5 minutes later, la 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 la, I'm going to check on the dogs that I love so much. La 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 la. After everything's quiet. Took you long enough, dumbass.
That was an intense scene. When that dog's face just rolled back. Yeah.
That's like the worst. For me, in that whole movie, that's the worst scene for me because it's dogs.
Yeah, I get it. And that's one of the problems I had with the 1951 when he went out to the dogs and was just flinging
and he's.
I was like, oh, no.
Yeah, poor dog. He killed like 3 dogs.
I know. Don't kill the dogs.
Well, you know what? That's why they killed him.
Yeah.
He could have hung like 5 more humans and they wouldn't have freaking fried him. He killed a couple of dogs, and everyone in that place was a dog lover.
Yeah.
That's what got him killed.
Yeah, one of the things about John Carpenter is that, yes, it was claustrophobic, but what to me made it more stressful or more intense is you didn't know who the alien was.
Yeah.
And 1951s didn't really approach that aspect of the they didn't go that way with the alien.
No. They went with this thing was growing.
Yes,
like
and multiplying rapidly.
Pods of its own.
Yes.
People, for lack of a better term. I liked how they got in the 1951 version. It wasn't standing where they needed it to stand.
Yes, so it threw it.
The guy just takes this thing and he whips it down like he's bowling, like at its feet, so it jumps up out of the way and onto the pad where they need it to walk.
Yeah.
And they're like, the captain just looks at him like, that's just ingenious. He doesn't say it, but he gave him the look like, you're a genius. I'm going to give you accommodation.
I think that's what I enjoyed the 51 movie. But it wasn't scary. It wasn't as intense as it could have been.
They had the one moment when they opened up the door, though.
Yes.
When they opened up the door to go
that
into
was
the
a good
greenhouse,
moment.
That fucking thing's just standing there.
Yeah.
Takes a swipe. Even that one, when I was like, holy crap, he's huge. That guy was absolutely huge.
Now, back in the 1951 one, they had the arm. Okay, they had the
Right.
hand and the arm. In the
Right.
prequel, in the 2011 version,
Uh-huh.
um, there is they chop off an arm, or an arm
Oh
actually
no.
comes off a guy, and it's going around. And they
Oh,
cut the arm in half, and it splits off into two, and now they're
oh,
going around, and it's just so to me when I saw the arm, it's like, oh shit, there's a callback right to
right.
1951.
Right. Right. That's cool. See, I
So
like when they give a nod.
there
When
are you.
do it.
That's why I think anybody will. I mean, the 2011 version is reviewed very poorly, but I really enjoyed the shit out of it.
Yeah.
And I think anybody who watches it, you'll see all the nods to Carpenter and Hawks in
That's
there,
great. I like
and
that.
it's almost like a love affair to the story.
Well, you and I have talked about how Hollywood usually screws up a remake.
Yeah,
In the Carpenter remake, it worked because it was not exactly the same ingredients. It was the same basic idea.
right.
Um,
It was an outline.
yeah, it was they used the outline, but they didn't poop all over Howard Hawks' version.
No.
They were just like, okay, that was a great version for what you did. We're gonna do ours, kind of like yours. You're still in the Arctic. It's still
Mm-hmm.
this alien, but now we've added another layer, and the layer is this thing is a shapeshifter.
Yep.
It can like get into more than one person, and all of a sudden you have two aliens instead of one,
Yeah,
three
it's
aliens instead of
they
one.
up the stakes.
Yeah, they really upped the stakes, and then you didn't know who was who.
Yeah.
Because the one guy who winds up being the alien when they're testing the blood is not the guy that I remembered. Like even when I watched this movie years ago, I
Yeah.
didn't remember who it was.
I
I
didn't
knew it
either.
was one of them, but I didn't remember which one. So when that guy, because he's talking normal the whole time,
Mm-hmm.
so that was a nice little surprise, for
Yeah.
lack of a better term.
Full of surprises.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Good
excellent,
movie.
excellent freaking movie.
Yeah, I still love the Howard Hawks one though. I think
I get it.
the dialogue was so good, especially for the time. They had a good budget. A lot of character actors in that I recognize from old movies that I've watched, all the way up into the 70s. The guy who played the captain in that one had a long career. The reporter in that one had a long career as a character
Yeah.
actor. A lot of character actors in the Carpenter one too.
Yes.
The doctor was on St. Elsewhere, the guy with
Mhm.
the ring nose ring.
Yes. Yes. I was like, where have I seen him?
The guy with the beard used to play on Rhoda.
Yeah.
He was a character actor. He showed up on a lot of stuff like Fantasy Island, The Love Boat. I'm trying to think of who else. The guy who
Wilford
won
Brimley,
Wilford Brimley. I mean,
Keith
geez, how
David.
much crap was he in? They're like, yeah, David was a lot of stuff. And for him, now this is where it's going to sound a little strange, and I'm going to sound a little woke, so excuse me. It was nice that the two black guys weren't the first two guys to get killed.
Yes. No,
Back
that's
in the 80s, if basically if you were a black guy, you had very little screen time. You were going to be the first one butchered by the mad scientist,
yes.
fall down a well, hit your head on a marshmallow and explode. Whatever the case may be, chances are your character wasn't going to live. So whenever they took the two guys and stretched them through almost the entire movie,
Mhm.
and one makes it to the very end, which is very unheard of at the time.
Right.
So my hat off to freaking John Carpenter for that.
Well, and
Sure.
Carpenter's been known to do that because you bring up a great horror movie trope. It's
Yeah,
always
and
the
it's
black
a
guy
trope.
killed.
Oh, it's such a bad trope.
It is a bad trope, but when we get to John Carpenter, you look at Assault on Precinct 13. The main character is a black policeman. His first day on the job, and he
Right.
makes it all the way through.
Well, he's the main guy.
Yeah,
He's got to make it all
Yeah.
the way through. But
George
even then,
Romero had also put black characters in the
Yeah.
front and would go, but most of the other horror people were lazy and they fell on
Right,
the tropes.
they went straight for the trope. It's like the girl falling down with the twisted ankle.
Yes,
Like you and I had talked about that in another movie. We're like, okay, when is she gonna fall? Oh, there
it
she
never
is.
happened.
Yeah, it never happened.
In
That's
in
good.
this movie, it never happens.
And you know what? I was almost waiting for it to happen in Howard Hawks, and it never happened in Howard Hawks.
No.
They had two women that they could have used as the basic stereotype woman in distress, gonna
And
fall
they
down and
didn't.
hurt my ankle, and they good for Howard Hawks. He refused to use that as a trope.
Yes, they were, and
They were
both
strong women.
women. One was a doctor. One obviously was a secretary, but they were
Mhm.
both strong, independent women. They were not
Yeah.
damsels in distress like they could have been.
No, no, no. The woman who was the assistant or the secretary, whatever you want to call her, to that scientist,
Hmm.
she had her crap together.
Yes.
She knew who she was, and that was cool. The doctor and the other one, somebody gets hurt and is dragged in, and somebody's trying to do something. And she's like, no, 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 don't do that. I'll take care of this. And everybody just backs off. And all the men were, I don't want to say subservient, but all the men knew these women were strong. We're not going to F with them. Because when the one doctor woman started talking, all the guys backed up. Like, what do you need?
Yep.
What do you need me? Just boss me around. I'm in military. Just tell me what I'm supposed to do, and I'll do it. And by God, they fell right in the line for her.
I've got some notes on the Hawks film.
Mhm.
There was a lot of smart asses in this movie.
Everybody in that movie was a smart ass. It
I
was
loved it.
great.
Super carrot.
Super carrot. There was a good line.
And here's my biggest note. Why the fuck would you grow more?
I would have killed that guy.
Yeah.
I literally would have walked up to
Just
him and the other two scientists and shot him in the head. And when I was questioned at my court martial, I would have went, well, they needed to be summarily executed. They
Yep.
were a danger to humanity.
The world.
Yep.
The world.
You can throw me in jail, but I know that I just saved the entire planet.
That's my entire set of notes for all three movies.
Right. Right? Yeah, I tell you, the Howard Hawks guy, a couple of the scientists would have been summarily executed
Yeah.
to save everybody there with very little problem. I would have killed the dog as soon as I got back from the camp in Carpenter's movie.
Yes,
I'd have been
absolutely.
like,
After
yeah,
you
he's
saw
hunting that
all
dog
of
for
that,
a reason. He was hunting that dog for a reason.
well,
Where's the dog?
they picked up that mutated creature
Yeah.
and brought it back, and I'm like, what? No, don't bring it back.
Why would you do that? Hey, Doc, you want to go see something? It's frozen. It's going to stay frozen. Come
It's
on.
going to stay frozen.
I'll
No,
take you out
let's.
there to look at it. The other doctor, but not. No, 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 no. Don't bring things like that back home, folks.
Yeah, I like in Hawk's version the guy standing guard, the sergeant puts an electric blanket on the block of ice.
And it's still plugged in and on. It's like they told you to keep the heat away.
Yeah, that was for him, not for that.
Supposed to put that on. Oh yeah, that was that was probably the worst trope part that I could think
Yeah,
of.
in the 2011 version, they bring that big block of ice in,
Yeah.
and they don't keep the room cold. They're not heating it, but of course it starts to
Oh yeah, they figure it's a big block of ice. What's going to get out?
It got out.
You would think the damn thing's dead after 20 million years. You're just going to keep it on ice and take it back to study later on. The one thing in the Howard Hawks movie, because the one guy is like, well, this thing's been in the ice and it's, it needs to be studied. And the smart scientist looks at the guy and he's like, you don't know what kind of diseases this thing's carrying.
Exactly.
You don't know what kind of the cold. It's common. What did he say? I want to say it's common cold could kill us all or something like that. He says something that's just like,
it was sensible.
Jackass.
Yeah.
Leave it frozen.
It was about time to hear something like that. It's like, don't. Yeah. But yeah.
But at least they had the one scientist going, what are you, stupid? Yeah. Which was nice. It was nice to see.
Yeah. But good movie. All three are, to me, I think they should be watched.
Yeah.
I enjoy every one of them.
That's nice. Nice. Now, did you watch the prequel before you watched?
I watched them all out of order. I watched John Carpenter's, then Howard Hawks, and then this morning I watched the prequel.
Oh, okay. Because I watched Carpenter's this morning too.
Yeah. I wish I would have watched them kind of in order, but the prequel goes closer to Hawks because we're getting the first discovery of the spaceship and pulling up the block of ice and everything. But man, all the callbacks to John Carpenter, including the same music at the end with the helicopter and the wolf.
Oh, really?
Yes. It is such a, I don't know why the movie didn't do better other than the fact that for the prequel, they relied too heavily on CGI and it shows, and it just to me, it just takes you out. If you can build it, it's going to be much more believable and much more suck you right in.
Right, right. I can tell you for me, when I heard The Thing, I thought remake
Yeah,
of John Carpenter's movie,
it's not.
and I instantly went, why the hell would you do that? I'm not going to bother wasting my time to ever watch it.
Yeah,
I didn't know it was a prequel
it is a prequel.
until you told me today, and I was
Yeah,
like, oh, okay, I see.
it's worth a watch because then you get the whole story.
Because then I started thinking, well, if that's a prequel, then it has to take place on that Norwegian base,
Yes.
or it's not a prequel. So
Yep.
it's nice to know that they show you what happens there, which is basically the same thing that happens in Carpenter's.
Yeah. Well, it's funny when I was reading the article from the producers, they said there's no way we can remake The Thing. It's a classic.
Right.
You don't do it. And it's funny because they go on to say it's just like you don't do The Exorcist. You don't remake The Exorcist. Well, guess what? Hollywood's remaking The Exorcist.
Yeah, I think you and I talked about that last week.
We did.
Why in the hell are you doing this? Why
Yeah.
Hollywood? Just come up. There's got to be people in Hollywood that have original ideas. Go find
There
them.
is.
My niece is a writer. Go find her.
Yeah.
For Christ's sakes, I'm sure she has an original idea. For love of
I
God.
guarantee she does.
Yes. I know she does. I know she does.
Ah,
That's just the uncle talking in me, but
Right.
I know for sure. Yeah, she's good. She's a good kid. She's a good writer too. But just to sit there and remake the same crap over and over and over again when you have talented people looking around going, hey, I got this great idea. Well, we don't want to spend money on an idea that might fail. We'd rather
Yeah.
remake The Thing. Hey, Casablanca's up. We're going to do Casablanca. Hey, I know. We'll do The Maltese Falcon. Hey, I know. We'll do Gone with the Wind. Only everybody's black and everybody's Chinese and everybody's like, no, man. Just
yeah. I can tell you just how well that will do.
yeah. It hurts my head.
Well, speaking of remakes, I did watch something completely different that we are not reviewing,
Mhm.
but it's the most current Invisible Man.
Didn't know there was one.
It is excellent.
Yeah.
I
Is
have
it
no
okay?
idea how close it is to the original because I've never seen the original, but this movie is excellent.
You never saw the one with
No.
Claude Rains?
No,
Really?
I
That's a
need
good one.
to.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I need
do
to.
like the Claude Rains version.
Yeah, I will look that one up because this was a trip. It was intense. It was scary. It was a thriller big time, and it was really, really
Claude
good.
Rains is not scary, but
Okay.
it shows somebody's mental falling.
Okay.
Like going kind of crazy because of what he can do.
Interesting. Sounds like a very different movie. So if that is accurate, here is where Hollywood said, okay, we're going to take this and we're going to just make it different. And I'm
Right.
good with the remake making things different.
Right.
Just
I
don't
agree.
redo the same thing. It's like they tried with Psycho, scene for scene, with Vince Vaughn and Anne
Yeah.
Heche.
Yeah.
I have
remember
not
that,
watched it. I have no desire.
and it was in color. So you have it in color. You're literally following the shot for shot deal and the exact same script, is my understanding.
Yeah.
Just watch the original Psycho.
Yeah.
At that point, just watch the original Psycho. You'll probably like it more. And I like Vince Vaughn. Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong. I really like Vince Vaughn. But it's just like, you just, and I'm sure he did it because it was a paycheck and he liked
Well, of
the
course. I'm sure they all did. But
Yeah.
there's been a few movies that I think Cabin Fever is one of them where they did a remake and they used the same script.
movie. Mhm.
Now, as long as you're not using the same shots, you're going
Right.
to end up with a different movie.
Right.
Just because your cinematographer and director are going to come up with a whole different vision.
Right.
So, but still, it's like, my God. Again, we talk about this every freaking week.
Yeah,
Every
we do.
week, no
Right.
remakes, but we just reviewed some remakes that were pretty damn good.
Yeah, like I really do like the remake. And you can almost, it's almost not even a remake for John Carpenter.
It
almost
isn't.
was-
It's so different.
But it was close enough to the original that you know what he was doing. He
You
took
could see the source
took the
material
same
in it.
spot,
Yeah.
alien in a Arctic base, gonna kill everybody. What do you do? That's the
Yeah.
same basic plot, which actually worked, and he did it. He did it well. Carpenter always does movies very well like that. So
For the most
yeah,
part.
in-camera shots he does really well, like the effect shots. Um, yeah, I got no problem with this one. I got no problem with either of the movies that I saw,
Yeah.
and I haven't
Yeah.
seen the prequel, so now I
Go
want to
watch
see
it. You'll like it.
it. Mhm.
Put it in your queue.
I will.
It was worth the rental.
It's a done deal. Done deal.
Done deal.
Let's,
All right.
next month is going to be musical month, right? Is that right?
Christmas.
Christmas month. That's right.
Christmas month. We are having a month of Christmas movies. Have no idea what the hell we have lined up yet, but it'll be a surprise to us too.
What we talked about.
Do what?
I completely forgot what we had talked about.
I don't know. There are going to be some Christmas movies.
Maybe good ones. I want to put a couple chompy ones in there.
We need to.
Something like Santa Claus versus the Martians or something like that.
See, my palate has been completely cleansed after we went from stinkers into, as I lovingly call, Hot Guy Month November with Patrick Swayze and Kurt Russell, with some damn good movies all around.
Yeah.
Really wasn't anything atrocious.
No, we did some pretty good ones.
They were all really enjoyable, and I enjoyed watching this many movies this month. Mm-hmm. So for Christmas, it's time for stinkers. Maybe a good one in there.
We've got to have at least one or two good ones, but one or two bad ones. One or two that we looked at as kids and were like, why?
Yeah.
Or have never seen. Like, I've never seen Santa Claus versus the Martians.
I haven't either.
But I'm sure there's a lot of really bad ones that we could find.
I'm sure.
We can decide on those for
I'm sure. And there's your classics. It's a Wonderful Life and stuff.
Yeah.
And Christmas Story.
Beautiful. Christmas Story is definitely a Christmas Story. But what are we going to say about A Christmas Story? Like, we loved it. I love that movie.
Yeah, that's one I think we might ought to pass. I'm going to watch it anyway.
Oh, yeah. I have a list of movies that I watch.
Yeah.
We can watch, I don't know, we'll decide a couple.
We'll come up a few. So,
plenty to watch.
Plenty. That's it for today's episode of Old Ass Movie Reviews. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure to catch us next week when we fire off Christmas month.
And we don't know what we're going to watch yet.
We're going to watch something. Join us.
Bye, folks.